Hi, I'm Emilio. I'm a program manager at Google. Right now, lots of people are looking for ways to learn new job skills. That's why we created Google Career Certificates, an online training program for fast-growing fields like IT support, project management, data analytics, user experience design, and more. You don't need any prior experience, and you can be job ready in about 6 months. So put your skills to work. Go to grow.google/certificates.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Happy Friday. Today's podcast is focused on new agents. So if you're a new agent or there's a new agent in your office, you're going to want to send this one over to them. It's only about 10 minutes long. It's a couple quick clips of interviews from some of the best people we've interviewed over the last year, asking them just that question: what advice would you have for a brand new agent? Have a listen. What's your number one piece of advice for real estate agents to succeed in today's market?
I would say the number one piece of advice is you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to pivot and move fast and that's true with any entrepreneurial endeavor, but especially right now in a COVID related world and in real estate. Had I come in with the fixed mindset of, okay, all I have to do is come into my broker's office and sit and learn and everything will come to me, I would not have been at the place of where I'm at today with relative success. And so I had to quickly think and take action on, these are the items that I have to focus on in my life. I have to focus on, at first it was getting those clients through the escrow, but then secondly it was, okay, how can I help new people in this world? And so that's a big part, is just understanding where you're at and being able to move quickly and move fast.
How to do better. What advice would you have given yourself that you wish you would have heard your first couple of weeks?
Get my head out of the rabbit hole and learn from stuff like your shows, learn from stuff like Inman, where then I had no idea what that was. All I was doing was listening to the one person I knew in it, versus open, because I would have known of the portals because they were in their infancy then. Like I came in 2012, but they were in 2009, I think is 10. They just opened. So I would have been able to spend money on zips then and get my foot in the ground versus how I did the old school ways, because that's all I was taught as far as like mailers and fax letters and canvassing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. There are so many ways to learn. If you were going to go back and tell yourself advice your first year, or really any agent, so if you're talking to somebody in their first year of real estate, what recommendation would you give them?
Get out of your own way.
Okay.
I think especially nowadays, I think there's so many people who are self-conscious about video and people who are afraid to really kind of show up and be open and be themselves. I think a lot of the time our own fears and insecurities get in the way of like the opportunities that are actually in front of us. And especially when it comes to things like video and it comes to like online platforms, it's really like people are not going to be judging you. People aren't looking at, whether or not your makeup's perfect. What they actually really care about is what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's so much kind of worry, and people are people. And yeah. It used to be, 5 years ago, if we wanted to make an ad or make video on Facebook or YouTube, we had 4 cameras set up and lighting, and it was professionally edited, and that was helpful. And and that's what people wanted. They wanted professional. There was some sort of a transition that I experienced in the last few years. We would do these like, we want to buy your house videos on Facebook. And the more professional we got, the less responses we got. Yep. And then there was one of me just walking through a house, and I hadn't shaved and my hair was messed up. And I just started telling the story of like, hey, I just bought this house and here's why. And people don't even know that. And we even accidentally spelled like the title wrong, right? Yeah. And that video got more responses than kind of anything. And it was funny to realize the ones that we spent the most effort on and the most critiquing did not succeed as well as the kind of crappy but super honest version the process.
Such an amazing lesson. And I say this to our agents all the time, that the more polished your stuff is on social media, the less response you're going to get, because it looks and it feels like an ad. And we get bombarded with ads every single day. And the more addy it looks like, the faster people are going to scroll past it. And the more honest and the more down to earth and the more raw it looks organic. And when it looks organic, people are willing to pay more attention.
And what is one thing that someone would have told you about real estate your first year? Or if you could go back and tell yourself one thing, what advice would you give yourself about real estate?
Wow. That's a great question. Gosh, there's so much. Okay, here it is. This is pretty good. And it took me until 2014 to learn this. It's not how little you spend, it's how much you keep that matters. So you could rephrase that. You could say, you got to spend money to make money, right? For me, I spent the early part of my career pinching pennies. I was incredibly frugal. I was incredibly stressed. I was overworked personally. I put too much on my own shoulders, on my own back. I'm good at that, right? If you go back and listen to that episode with my dad, you'll hear that in his voice. Like, that's what he taught us. He taught us how to work, right? And that was the answer. Nobody can ever take your work ethic away from you, right? They can take everything you have, every monetary possession that you ever accumulate, but they can't take away your will to work. If you have your will to work, you'll always be okay. And that's true. Okay. But there is a moment where there's like an inflection point when you've had a little bit of success, where if you continue to do the same things that you've always done, you put yourself under a lot of undue stress. And I did that. I did that to myself. I did it to my family. I did it to my kids. I did it to my wife. And I wish I would have been more comfortable allowing others to help me sooner.
Yeah.
I built a team, but instead of, they picked up everything that went unaccounted for. And I still pressed myself just as hard, if not harder, to do even more myself.
So if you were going to go back and give yourself advice now, you've been an active agent for a couple of years, right? And so I guess one of the big things I would say is, hey, don't discount being a specialized niche agent and investor, because Craig did 90 something deals this year. And he just got his license a couple of years ago. And you're a young guy and you started with people that were first time home buyers, and your niche ended up really helping you break through up there. Your numbers were huge. There's a lot of people that had great 2020s, but not very many people that have been agents for 2 years that had great 2020s, right? Like that was one of the unique things. Like, people that were doing great before crushed it last year. The people that were just getting started had a really rough year. So there's something to be said about just investing and niching. But what advice would you give a new agent right now, or do you wish someone would have told you when you got started? Like, what have you learned, something in real estate that you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this instead?
Well, I guess one thing I wish I would have done instead is, we're creating a team now. So I would wish that I probably started the team thing earlier, because I did run myself ragged last year. However, as a new agent, especially if you want to niche out in like an investor type approach, you want to make sure that you're documenting your stuff, and you want to put it on social media, and you want to, if you got a newsletter, send it out to your clients, let them know what deals they're doing in Denver. I've got a lot of clients that were just like, how much can you cash flow in Denver? Like, how are you getting $1,000 a month in cash flow, like on all of these deals? Like, is it too good to be true? And we're like, no, I can point to like 35 deals where we're cash flowing $1,000 or more, right? It's very easy, very consistent. You just have to be a little bit creative. And, I just tell them, hey, this is what you have to do to cash flow that much. And these are areas you have to be in. And people get pretty excited about it. And then they start telling their friends, and really just kind of spirals from there.
So sharing your wins and sharing how good of a deal it was really helped people start asking you. And you mentioned a newsletter plus social media.
Real Estate Rockstars, this is a commercial break from our biggest podcast sponsor we have right now, Rent Ready. It can be fun getting a new real estate deal, but it can be tough managing your properties after the fact, especially if you're long distance investing or trying to manage multiple properties by yourself. That's why we're here to tell you about Rent Ready. Rent Ready is a property management software that not only makes it easier to manage all your real estate deals from one platform, but they also have the best customer service support in the biz. They're an all-in-one app that lets you easily manage properties, collect rent, list units, screen tenants, sign leases, all from your phone or computer. Imagine all of your real estate doors right in your pocket. How awesome is that? The best part is it's so affordable, one flat price for everything. Unlimited properties, tenants, and support with a real live human. And I have to add in there, that's a new business model that not a lot of people are doing. There's like this freemium model where people say, hey, you can try this, but as soon as you grow, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Or they kind of punish you when you get too many emails on your list or too many comments. They aren't going to punish you when you grow. They're not going to charge you more when you get 10, 20, 30 rentals. They're going to charge you the same when you have 2 or 3 as they will when you have 50 or 60. So you have a nice fixed cost, all software, all in one place. Check it out, RentRedi, RentRedi.com. And if that's not enough, RentRedi is giving our listeners a special code you can use to get a whole year of RentRedi for just $54. Use code ROCKSTAR50, that's Rockstar50, and sign up for RentRedi's annual plan at RentRedi.com. Again, RentRedi.com with code Rockstar50 to get RentRedi for only $54. All right, real estate rock stars, this is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate, how to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in 2 different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronandmuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.